This is the community yoga practice for April 1st, and the theme this week is grace. So in the sermon at Roswell Presbyterian on Sunday, it was about Peter, and Peter as a leader not being perfect. So the person on whom the church was built was not a perfect leader, and we don't have to be either. And so we're all leading somebody in this time. We're in close quarters, and people are watching us and what we do. And so we want to continue to stress our bodies in healthy ways on the mat so that we can be our best selves off the mat. And so today we want to think about grace. And so there's a quote that says that God's grace blows all the time. We just have to raise our sails. So we're going to do some challenging poses, and then we're going to spend some time at the end resting. And just resting in God's grace. So you might want to have handy a yoga block and a necktie, an old necktie or something you can use as a strap. A hardback book makes a great yoga block, or a couple of them taped together. And then maybe an extra blanket or pillow for the ending. So we're going to start lying on our backs today. So bending your knees, planting your feet flat on the ground. Just starting to pay attention to your breath. Simply inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Following your inhale and your exhale, enabling that attention on your breath to quiet your mind. And perhaps setting as your intention, where in your life can you allow yourself more grace? Less judgment. Remembering that this time on the mat is just a practice. You do not have to be perfect. So on an inhale, stretch your arms overhead. And on an exhale, bring them back down by your hips. Do that 2 more times. Inhaling, stretch your arms overhead. And exhaling, bring them back down. And 1 more time, arms overhead. And exhaling, bring them back down. And then draw your knees into your chest. Maybe make some circles with your ankles, just starting to get the body moving. Do it in both directions. And then rest your hands on the mat, but take your heels to the ceiling. And we're going to right away start to warm the core. So if you have trouble with your low back, you can keep your knees a little bit bent and only go as low as you can without any back pain. So on an inhale, drop one leg toward the mat. And exhale, pull it back up. And then the other leg, inhaling down. And exhaling, pull that belly toward the spine. And again, inhaling down. Exhaling, pulling the belly toward the spine. Just tuning in with those abdominal muscles. Starting to create some heat in the core. So now we're going to pulse both legs down. So you might not want to go very far, just a few inches at a time until you get a feel for how far you can go. Exhaling. Exhale a little bit more, take your legs down. Exhale a little bit more, take your legs down, and inhale back up. So 3 small exhales. Exhale, hold. Exhale, hold. Dropping your heels each time. Exhale, hold. And inhale back up. We're going to do that 1 more time. Exhale, hold. Exhale. Exhale. And inhale back up, and draw your knees into your chest and rock your hips from side to side again. And then plant your feet. Maybe you can touch your heels with your fingertips. And on an inhale, you're going to lift your hips to the sky and feel the front body start to open up. Maybe you feel it in the quadriceps, the thigh muscles. Just keep reaching your tailbone toward your heels so you're keeping the back long. Jaw relaxed. Push into the big toe mound so the whole foot is in contact with the floor. And then on an exhale, go ahead and roll down. And take your feet as wide as the edges of the mat and your arms out to the side. And we're just going to windshield wiper the knees. So on an exhale, take them one side. Feel the muscles in the hips and gentle twist. Then go to the other side. Just inhaling through center and exhaling down. Inhaling through center. Exhaling down. One more time each side. Good. And then we're going to roll to one side so that you can come on up to all fours safely. So when you get on all fours, make sure you spread your fingers wide. That'll help protect the wrists. And we'll do a little cat-cow. So on an inhale, you reach your tailbone up and crown of the head up, and then drop the tailbone, exhaling. Pull the mid back toward the ceiling. Let your head drop if it's safe. So just keep doing that a couple more times. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And then come on back to neutral. Take one hand under your nose so that I've got my right hand under my nose. I'm going to stretch my left leg back. And then I'm going to turn onto the ball on the whole left foot. Take my shin parallel to the short edge of the mat so that, as you can see, my knee, my hand, and my foot are all in line. Just inhaling, opening up the chest. Keep pulling that belly in to support the spine. And exhaling, gently release. And we'll do the other side. So plant your left hand right in your midline. Your left knee is in line with it. You take your right foot out behind you and shift, lifting up. Just feeling the side body long. Opening up those ribs on all sides. Come on back and inhale. Do another cat-cow. And exhale. And we'll open up the shoulders a little bit. So you're going to keep your hips right over your knees and walk your hands forward. The goal here is to keep the elbows straight so that you can drop your rib cage. So this is called puppy dog pose. Maybe your forehead drops to the mat. So be gentle, right? Showing yourself grace. It's early in the practice. Just feel those shoulders opening. And on an inhale, lift yourself up. Walk your hands back. Slightly forward of your shoulders. So that when you inhale your shoulders back over your wrists, your spine is nice and long. We're going to squeeze our elbows in and exhale down to the mat. Hopefully your hips stay up till the very last. Then push the tops of the feet into the mat. And on an inhale, do a gentle cobra. Drop your elbows, gazing forward. Back bend, and your exhale, release. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhaling, gently arch, and exhaling, release. 1 more time, inhaling, arch. Just moving with the breath. Joining the breath with our movement, we're going to squeeze our elbows in. See if we can get our hips up first. And take yourself back to a child's pose. So hips towards the heels, and maybe your forehead drops to the mat. So know that you can always come back to this pose anytime. Take a breath. One more exhale. And then inhale, come back up onto all fours. We're going to come to standing on our knees for a bit. So if it's helpful to have a towel or a blanket to pad your knees, do that. So dropping the tailbone, knees right under the hips. Inhale your arms to the sky, and you're going to interlace your hands. Release your index fingers and draw your upper arms way back by your ears. And then get really long, exhaling to one side. Inhale, get tall. Exhale to the other. 2 more times, inhaling. Again, just stretching that side body. And 1 more time. Come on, back up to center. And exhale. Hands back down to all fours. Get them a little bit in front of your shoulders so that you can curl your toes under. And inhale, lift your hips up and back for our first downward dog and walk your dog. Push your rib cage back towards your thighs. Take another breath. And you're going to lift your left leg up in the air. As you exhale, pull your knee toward your chest and hover there. So there's 2 different ways to get into a low lunge. You could put your feet back down and drop to your knees and then bring the leg forward. Or you can come straight from that knee to the chest and plant your foot in between your hands. And then we're going to float that back knee down, inhaling, arms to the sky. Feel a nice deep stretch in that hip flexor on the right side. Then on an inhale, lift your hips up and back for a hamstring stretch, drawing your toes back toward your knee. Maybe it's helpful to use the block. And then gently release. We'll bring that left foot back, curl your toes under again, and take another down dog, lifting the hips up toward the sky, and take a breath. Then you're going to lift your right leg to the sky and come to that low lunge, however it's safe for you. Either drop the knees or come right to that high lunge and then float the knee down. And inhale, arms to the sky. And then exhale, hands to the mat or a block. And inhale, draw your toes up and back for a hamstring stretch. So try and keep the spine nice and long. Remember, it's just a practice. And then come on back onto your knees. And you're going to inhale, lift your hips up and back to down dog. So this time we're going to lift the left leg to the sky, and we're going to come to a standing forward fold. So bring that foot forward, and then bring the back foot to meet it. Inhale, halfway up. Exhaling, fold. And then reverse to swan dive, inhaling, arms to the sky. And exhaling your hands to your heart. So we've done most of the components of a modified classical sun salutation. So that's what we're going to do. So remember that you can always use a chair to bring the wall to you. So instead of going all the way to the floor, you could rest your hands on a chair, or you could even use the wall. So exhaling everything out, take a breath. Inhale, arms to the sky. And exhaling, swan dive forward in your forward fold and come halfway up. Inhaling, extend the spine out, fingertips under the knees. Exhaling, bend the knees, take the left leg back and high lunge again. And then your inhale, fingertips to the sky. Exhale, hands to the mat, just keep moving. Inhale, modified plank push-up. Exhaling, chaturanga, hips down last. Push the feet into the mat. Inhaling, gentle cobra. Exhale, forehead to the mat. Reverse your push-up. And take a downward facing dog and take a breath. Then inhale, left leg to the sky. Exhale, pull the knee forward, float the knee down, back knee down, front knees right over the ankle. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhaling, hands to the mat, curl the back toes under, come all the way to halfway up, flat back, fingers under the knees. Exhaling, fold. Inhaling, arms to the sky. And exhale your hands to your heart. Do the same thing on the other side. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, gently dive. Inhale, halfway up, flat back. Exhaling, forward fold. Take the right leg back and high lunge. Float that back knee down and inhale, arms to the sky. Just keep moving. Exhaling, hands to the mat. Inhaling, modified plank. Exhaling, chaturanga. Float those hips down. Inhaling, filling the breath. Gentle arch. Exhaling, forehead to the mat. Squeeze those elbows in. Come back to downward facing dog. So like we're filling our sails with movement, right? God's grace flowing all the time. Inhale, right leg to the sky. Exhale, pull the knee toward the chest. Plant that foot. Float the back knee down. Inhaling, arms to the sky. Exhaling, hands to the mat. Curl the toes under. Inhaling, come halfway up. Root those feet down. Fold deeply like a rag doll. And rise up. Fingers toward the ceiling. And exhale, hands to the heart. Nice. So our first one-legged balance is going to be a traditional tree pose. So you're going to plant your feet, come to Tadasana, shift your weight into one leg, find one place to rest your gaze that's not moving. Maybe you go to the wall, you could put your foot on your calf, you could put it above the knee, just no weight in the knee. And bring your hands back to your heart center. I'm a little wobbly today. And exhaling, gently release. Take a breath. So make sure you're not holding your breath in these balances. They're going to get harder. Shift your weight to the other side. Just noticing one side to the other. And exhaling, gently release. Take a big, wide straddle. So wide that maybe your heels are under your wrists. So here we are in a 5-pointed star. Feet are kind of pigeon-toed. Tailbone dropping, chest lifting. Good. Take those fingertips behind your head. Find those little occipital bones under the base of your skull and give yourself a little massage. It's a great way to show yourself some grace. And release that. Take the arms back out to the side. Turn the palms facing up. Feel the shoulders and the arms and the chest open a little more. Try and keep the upper arms just right where they are and rotate just the lower arms down. And then turn your left toes out. And as you exhale, take the knee right over the middle toe. So you've got heel to arch alignment here. Spending a few breaths just allowing our hips to open. So feel like your inner thighs are rotating outward and upward. The bent knees going toward the back side of the body. Take your forearm to your thigh and sweep the top arm up and over your head. Just gaze down at your big toe. We're going to windmill ourselves down to the mat into a high lunge. So you might want to have a block handy or plant your fingertips on the mat. Pull your low belly in and inhale, twist toward that front leg. Take the opposite arm to the sky and take a breath. You might feel a stretch in the outside of the hip. Exhaling, hand back to the mat. Come back to warrior two, so turn that heel down and inward. Sweeping your arm up and around so you get your shoulders back over your hips. And then inhaling. Come back to two straight legs, toes pointed forward. And we'll go right to the other side. So turn your right toes out. As you exhale, take the knees over the toes. Really opening up those thighs. Taking the thigh bones away from one another. And then fold your forearm to your thigh and sweep the upper arm right over your head. One long line, just gaze down at your big toe. more breath. And then we're going to windmill ourselves down to the mat, so safely lifting your back heel, resting the fingertips either on a block or the mat. Knee right over the ankle, pull your low belly in and inhale, twist toward that front leg, taking the arm to the sky. Use your inner thighs for stability. And exhale, gently release. Turn your heel down and in. Come back to warrior two. And inhale. Straighten the legs, all 10 toes forward, and heel toe your way in. So we're not wrenching your back, your sacrum. Nice. Okay, we're going to do those modified classical sun salutations again, right? So this is a great one to stick with. If you want to develop your own home practice, just keep doing these modified classical salutations. Inhaling, arms up. And exhaling, folding forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhaling, left leg way back in high lunge. Float the knee down and inhale. Reaching in a gentle arch. Fingertips up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Inhaling, modified plank. You could always do these on the toes if you prefer. Exhaling, chaturanga, hips stay up till last, and then float the hips down and engage the legs. Push the feet into the mat. Inhaling, gentle back bend. Exhaling, forehead to the mat. Reverse your push-up. Curl your toes under, and exhale, down dog. Then inhale, lift the left leg to the sky, pull the knee toward the chest, coming back to that low lunge. Float the right knee down, inhaling, arms to the sky. Exhale, hands to the mat, curl the back toes under. Inhale, come all the way to half forward fold, flat back. Exhaling, now fold like a rag doll and let everything go. And then inhale, arms to the sky. And exhale, your hands to your heart. Keep on moving, inhaling. And exhaling, so it might be feeling a little bit aerobic. That's a good thing. Inhaling, halfway up, flat back. Exhaling, bend the knees, right leg back to high lunge. Now float that back knee down. Inhaling, fingertips upward. Exhaling, hands to the mat. Preparing for our chaturanga push-up. Exhale, squeeze your elbows in. Bring yourself down to the mat. Use your legs, inhaling, back bend. Exhaling, forehead to the mat. Reverse your push-up. There's your inhale. And exhale yourself back to down dog. Inhale the right leg to the sky. Pull the knee in. Exhaling, floating that back knee down. Inhale, arms up. Almost there. Exhaling, hands to the mat. All the way to flat back. Inhaling, fingers under the knees. Exhaling, fold. Reverse your dive. Inhaling, fingertips up. And exhale your hands to your heart. Maybe even close your eyes here. And find your breath again. Okay, so I said we were going to challenge ourselves a little bit. We're going to do that with a one-legged balance. It's one of my favorite poses because the name of it is Utthita Hasta Padanguttasana. So it's it's a one-legged balance with a big toe hold. If your hamstrings are tight, rather than holding your toe, you might want to put your foot in the strap. Again, there's always the option to go to the wall. So bring your hands to your heart center. Stand in Tadasana for a moment. And remember, it's just a practice. Just approach it with grace, maybe a little humor, and a lot of forgiveness. So lifting your left knee. Maybe you just stay here like you look like a lowercase h. Maybe you want to grab the shin and take the knee closer to the chest. Just keep following your breath. Maybe you want to grab hold of the big toe and see if you can straighten your spine and just stand up here. Maybe stand tall and extend the heel outward. Keep that left hip dropping down. Maybe you want to inhale and open the leg to the side. Like wind in your sails, and then just let it go. That was kind of fun. Just remember, go where you can. You're getting all the benefits no matter where you go. Concentration, controlled breathing, flexibility, balance, strength. So maybe you want to go a little deeper. Maybe you can grab hold of the big toe. So you really got to see what you're looking at, what you're focusing on. Maybe you want to take your heel forward. Maybe you want to inhale, filling your sail with grace. And then just let it go. So it's a practice. It's a journey. Every day will be different. Okay. We're going to do 2 more of those modified classical sun salutations. Come back to the front of your mat. Just tuning into your own body, right? And moving with your own breath. Even if that timing is a little bit different. Exhale everything out. Inhale, arms to the sky. And exhale, dive forward, hang like a rag doll. Inhale, halfway up. Bend the knees, left leg back and high lunge. Float the knee down. Inhale, arms up. Should be feeling nice and warm and loose and fluid. Now inhaling, modified plank or the top of a push-up on your toes. Exhaling, chaturanga, hips down last. Use your legs. Inhale, back bend. Cobra, exhale, forehead to the mat. Reverse your push-up. Inhale, curl the toes under, and exhale, down dog. Inhale, left leg to the sky. Pull the knee toward the chest. Plant the foot. Knee right over the ankle. Float the back knee down. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, hands to the mat. Curl the back toes under. Inhale all the way to half forward fold, flat back. Then we hang like a rag doll. Reverse your dive. And exhale, hands to the heart. One more. Inhale up. Exhale, ragdoll. Inhale, flat back, fingers under the knees. Exhale, bend the knees, take the right leg back and high lunge, float the knee down. Inhaling, fingers up. Exhaling, hands to the mat. Inhaling, modified plank. Exhaling, chaturanga. Inhaling, cobra. Exhaling, forehead to the mat. Inhaling, reverse your push-up. Exhaling, down dog. Inhale, right leg up. Exhale, pull it forward for high lunge, then float the back knee down. Inhale, arms up. Exhaling, hands to the mat. And we finish. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold like a rag doll. Inhaling, arms to the sky. And exhaling, hands to your heart. And take a breath. Okay. So we're going to do a forward fold with an IT band stretch. So your IT band runs from your knee, below the knee, all the way up to the hip. It's a major stabilizer. It's a tendon, and it doesn't get a ton of blood flow, so it takes a while to get it to stretch out. You're going to take your feet a little bit wider than hip width apart. On an inhale, take your arms up. Exhaling, soften the knees, bring your rib cage toward your thighs. Once you get down, again, if your hamstrings are tight, you might want to hold a block. Once you get down, you want to inhale and straighten your legs. So coming up as far as you need to straighten your legs. Try and keep your spine straight. You're going to bend your right knee deeply, and then you're going to put most of your body weight in your left foot and take your rib cage toward your left knee. You should feel this somewhere on the outer leg. If you shift your weight subtly and gently in that foot, you might feel it in different places. Front, ball of the foot, back to the heel,
and then come right back over the ankle. Again, most of the weight's in the left leg, which is straight, straight, straight. And the right leg is just bent and relaxed. Good. So on an inhale, come back to center. Exhale, soften the knees. Just lift your chest, rest your hands on your thighs. So avoiding any dizziness, right? Exhaling, folding deeply. If you have high blood pressure, you should be careful with your head below your heart. If it's controlled, it's okay. Shift your weight into your right leg. Make it as straight as you can and bend your left knee deeply. Start to feel it in the outer leg, IT band. Fold your rib cage toward your knee. See if you can let go in your upper body. And then check in with a weight shift. Maybe more to the ball of the foot. Maybe rocking back a little bit to the heel. Come on, right back, weight over the middle of the ankle. On an inhale, come back to center. Exhaling, soften your knees. Bring your hands to your thighs and come to standing with a flat back. So one more challenging standing leg balance. Again, you could grab hold of the tie if your hamstrings are tight. So this is going to be basically the big toe hold with a twist, right? Sorry, I'm all froggy today. So you're going to inhale, lift your left knee. Again, maybe you want to stay here. Maybe you take your foot up, your shin, holding your shin. Maybe you take your right hand, so opposite hand, and you grab hold of the big toe. And you work on extending your leg. So it's kind of a twist, right? Maybe you twist a little more deeply. And I'm going to fall out. So give it another try. I'm going to. Use your focal point. And maybe you move it. Whoa. Okay. It's all good stress, right? So we'll try the other side. Start with the knee up. Maybe hold the shin. Maybe you take the opposite hand and grab hold of the big toe. And maybe you start to extend. So we did it twice on the other side. We should try it twice on this side, right? So when you're ready, try again. Or just hold it if you're able to stay there. And there I go. Okay. Come on back to Tadasana. Just feel your feet rooted right under your hips. Hands at the heart center. Nice and long and tall and relaxed, strong. And we're going to come down to the mat. Inhaling, take your arms up. One last dive. Dive forward, exhaling, fold. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhaling, bend the knees, take one leg way back to high lunge. Bring the other leg to meet it. Top of a push-up, plank. Just take a couple breaths here. And exhaling, float your knees down. So we're going to set up for a couple of restorative poses. So this is where you want to have a pillow, blanket, or you could even take your yoga mat and roll your yoga mat up. Right? So I've got an extra one here I'll show you. You could make this like your prop. And then I'm going to take hold of a blanket. Right? You could just use a regular bed pillow or a couple of sofa pillows, even a sofa cushion, just making like a yoga bolster out of it. And you're going to come onto one hip. So I'm going to sit on my right hip, as close to my prop, and my left knees are pointing outward. I'm going to sit up really, really tall, And then I'm going to exhale and just fold my spine onto the prop and keep my head facing the same direction as my knees. So remembering that rest is just as important as the work. Just allowing yourself to be completely supported. Maybe if your prop's not long enough, you could find a block. Move my blanket up a little bit. There we go. And just settle in for several breaths. Come back to that intention that you set. Feeling your heartbeat start to slow. Staying completely in the moment. Just following your inhale and your exhale. One more deep inhale and exhale. So this is what you would call restorative yoga, almost like a sanctioned nap. You're going to gently use your hands to push yourself back up onto that one hip. So the easiest way to go to the other side is to just turn your hips with your back facing your prop and go to the other side. So you could stay in these poses for as long as 10 minutes each, cultivating your own home restorative practice. So when you get your hip close to your pile, just gently fold your ribs down. And again, settle in. One of the biggest challenges for a balanced, integrated brain is to be able to accept your imperfections along with your strengths. A constant counterbalancing. And then it helps us do the same with those around us. Take about 3 more deep breaths here. Then on an inhale, gently push yourself back up onto your hip. And turn your back to your props again. So you're going to have your hips pretty close, maybe just a few inches away, and you're going to roll your spine down onto the props. So hopefully you have it long enough so that your head can still rest, but if not, grab a hold of a block. So you want your head to be completely supported. So you can do a few different things with your legs. You could take your feet wide and let your knees flop inward. You could stretch your heels out on the mat. So not quite Shavasana yet. We're almost there though. You could bend your knees, soles of the feet together in a reclined bound angle or Baddha Konasana. Whatever feels right for you today. 3 more deep breaths here. This is a great chest opener. Maybe even take your arms out to the side or up in like a V shape and feel those shoulders opening up. Keep the back of the neck long. Maybe the chin even slightly tucked. Gently releasing. Hands back down by the side. You're going to gently fold your knees together like a book. Roll to one side to gently push yourself up off the props. So take a moment to roll your yoga mat back out if you prefer, or you can just move it out of the way and roll back down on your back. So now we want something to support our hips. You could use your rolled up yoga mat. Like so. You want to get a little higher, grab a hold of a couple of books or a block. So we want to put our hips right under the props right under your sacroiliac joint. So that's in between your glute muscles and your lumbar curve, just that big bony part. Another front body opener. You could stay here. If it's okay with your low back, gently stretch your legs out. And just settle in. And then if your legs are stretched out, gently bend your knees so you can plant your feet again. With as little motion as possible, lift your hips up and get that prop out of the way. Float your hips back down again and take a breath. And we'll stretch out for our final resting pose. So maybe that's again bringing your feet wide and letting your knees flop inward. Maybe that's stretching your legs out. Heels relaxed, toes flopping open. Try and get all the props out of your way so your body's not touching anything. Tuck your shoulder blades together. Maybe come back to that intention that you set. And then let it go. Simply following your breath for a few more moments. Slowly and gently bring your attention back to this space. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe take your arms out to the side or overhead. Open up the front body. And then exhale. Pull the belly toward your spine so you can draw your knees into your chest. Rolling to one side, maybe keeping your eyes closed as you push yourself up gently to seated.
So once you get your spine nice and long, feel your lower body rooted. On an inhale, take your arms up and out in the shape of a V, like you are unfurling your sails. And on an exhale, bring your hands to your heart center, remembering that God's grace blows all the time. We simply need to open our sails. Bow your head to your own heart. Give yourself a mental pat on the back for showing up, taking care of yourself so that you can be your best for others. The Spirit in me honors the Spirit in you. Namaste.